So, I was excited for Loki. I'm still excited for Loki. But something happened in the promotional lead up that kind of touched a nerve for a couple of reasons that I'm about to get into. And I'm really annoyed that this touched a nerve. Because I feel like I should have been happy about this. And there will probably be people out there who will cite this as an example of, oh my god, the people who want more diversity, the woke SJWs, totally unpleasable. It's not that we're unpleasable, it's just that when we get nuggets of representation, it's kind of hard for us not to go, that's better than nothing, but... So, if you aren't aware, there was a video on Twitter about 15 seconds long. Just it's something just meant to go on a loop. That is it's a fun little thing. Promoting Loki, little interaction between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. It's funny. I enjoyed it. So, both the beginning and the end, so this is what the loop starts and ends on, is a dossier. It's a little tough to see. I couldn't get like a super high-res image of it, but next to sex, it says fluid. In and of itself, devoid of any other context. I'm going to get into the context, but devoid of any other context, this is good and also overdue. And it has been confirmed since by both Tom Hiddleston and one of the writers on Loki that, like, yeah, no, we're serious about that. We consider Loki to be gender fluid. So, a couple of things. First of all, anyone who's saying that this is woke agenda pushing, don't even bother. Because first of all, not only is Loki in the comics gender fluid, and did spend a chunk of time living a female existence, and it wasn't like an alternate or like some woman took over his mantle, like what happened with Thor for a while. No, that was Loki. So not only is there precedent in the comics, there's precedent in the Norse myths. Saying that quickly is difficult. But right back to the original source, at least as best as we have on them. We unfortunately don't really have any actual original sources on Norse myths. It gets a little bit weird. But from what we have, Loki has been gender fluid for basically as long as he's existed. Now I'm saying he because that's generally how, as a mythological figure and in the comics, he gets referred to, and it's how he's been referred to in the movies up to this point. So that's just to make my life easier. I'm going to keep calling him he, unless something happens in the show that indicates to me that I should be using different pronouns. I expect they're probably situational for him, which is something I can relate to. They can be somewhat situational for me. That's a little bit less so since I dropped the masculine pronoun, but my pronoun preference used to be very presentation dependent. It's not so much now. But she, they. Just a reminder. Anyways, so like the fact that this is happening, good. And nobody has any business complaining because not only is there precedent in the comics, there's precedent in the material the comics are based on. So why do I have this sense of anxiety around all this? Well, a couple reasons. The big one being precedent. So it's almost kind of become a joke at this point. How many times in a Disney-produced something there is going to be the first some kind of LGBTQIA plus character involved? It is all over the place. Like, do we count Pixar the same as Disney? Because then, well, it would be upward. Well, wait, even if we count Pixar, what about those two women who were pushing a baby stroller in Finding Dory? Do we count that? Were they just, like, this? It becomes a ridiculous mess, and now people are saying, like, Cruella, but then there was also the nonsense with LeFou in Beauty and the Beast, and that's kind of like where my brain goes. Because if you don't remember, according to the director, LeFou had an exclusively gay moment in the live-action Beauty and the Beast. What that amounted to was about 2 seconds of him dancing with another man, and it doesn't even linger on that long enough to make it clear that this is something they both want. It more means that he is stereotypically gaily flamboyant. And that, it wasn't the only thing I talked about, but that was one of the things that set off my original angry queer representation rant a couple years back. So that still ticks me off. And it's the embodiment of what drives me nuts. Like, oh, we confirmed it. Is it going to be in evidence, textually, in the show? Now, let me be clear. I'm not going to hold anything against Tom Hiddleston. He's said some things that indicate that this may have been in the back of his mind playing the character already. It's a little bit interpretable in terms of what he says. But, like, if that's what he's going for, fine, cool. No problem. If they are not going to actually address the idea that Loki is gender fluid in the show, and I don't mean show us the dossier and have it appear in print, I mean actually do something within the show to affirm that, then I'm honestly going to prefer they hadn't brought it up at all. Because that feels like condescending. That feels like, here, have a crumb. Are you happy now? No, I'm not. If that's in fact what it ends up being. If this is all we get, and like I really am nervous because this Twitter video loop was clearly created for Twitter, and the dossier itself specifically does not look like it comes from an in-show shot. It looks like something a marketing team put together to bookend the actual footage from the show. So I am super nervous that there will just be nothing. Or that if we get anything, it's just gonna be that. And it would be insanely frustrating because, oh God, why do I feel the need to make this comparison? I'm going to do it anyway. To make the comparison to J.K. Rowling and the Fantastic Beasts movies, if it was never her intention to actually show, depict, in some way address within those films the idea that Dumbledore was gay and had that kind of attraction to Grindelwald, then she never should have brought it up. Don't bring it up if you're not going to do something with it. If you still want to have it in your mind as you're writing and influence the way you're writing it, fine. But if you are not going to confirm it, don't bring it up because we've been dealing with that for too damn long. It's insulting. Either put up or shut up. And I mean that in the most literal possible way. And it's just, like, and there's other stuff that is a little bit more nitpicky kind of concerned. It's like, well, they haven't really shown Loki to be a flat-out shapeshifter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's mostly been illusory. So if he takes on a more feminine presentation, but it's made clear that it's an illusion, is that reinforcing the idea that gender fluid or trans people are really something else underneath and that it's all a trick? That's potentially problematic. It's a little bit weird to me that they put fluid next to sex instead of gender because... as I said, I identify as gender fluid. I'm not sex fluid. My sex is what it is, but my sense of self and gender is what shifts around. So the idea of it naming sex fluid makes me a little, and not that they can't do that, but that does put it theoretically in the realm of the more fantastical and less representative of the reality of gender fluidity, which is just a shifting sense of self. And anyone who's excited about this, I'm not trying to take that away from you. Honestly, if this is just the first indicator and the hint of something that they are going to, and I'm not saying they need to dedicate an entire episode to this, but if this is a first indicator of something they are actually going to tackle within the show, good. And I know there are certainly other people out there who will feel validated by even if this is all it is. And I don't ever want to take that from them. But as someone who's just been watching and waiting for better representation across the board from all kinds of franchises and all kinds of companies, and who watches a lot of Disney stuff and keeps getting infuriated by the almost not quite representation that we get a lot of the time, I can't help but look at this and just tense up. I want this to be present, and I want to like it. But it speaks too closely to my personal experience for me to just be happy that it's there. Because if it's there and it's token or hand-waved or handled badly, I'm not going to be able to move past that. And it's turned my raw enthusiasm for Loki into a nervousness. Because now I'm going to be waiting any given episode to see, are they going to address it? And if they do, I'm going to be super scrutinizing it. And if they don't, I'm going to be ticked for that reason. And it really annoys me that this is where I'm at. Like, I kind of hate that this is the headspace where I'm at with this. But I tend to think that speaks more to the patterns that I'm freaking sick of. More than, well, they're unpleasable. Because I don't think I am. But if you're going to do it, do it. And if you're not, maybe let it alone. Because it's like the people who tease their dog pretending that they have a treat in their hand, but don't really. Dog gets all excited and then you actually have nothing that you were ever going to give them. I don't want to feel like a mistreated dog. If it's all the same to you, I'd really prefer to not feel that way. But we'll see. Loki comes out tomorrow. I will be reviewing it. I actually think I'm going to do the review at least of the premiere over on the Main Council of Geeks channel. See how that performs, and depending on how well it does, I might just do that for the run of it, or it might bump back over to the break room. I don't know. But regardless, I'm nervous now. I wasn't before, but I am now. What are your thoughts? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. I have a Patreon that is how I pay my bills. Link in the description, because I can't get the link to work on this channel now for some reason. But any amount you're able to assist there is great assistance. This is my living. But even if you can't, the other stuff I mentioned, that all helps me out, but no pressure on that either, because we try and take a relaxed attitude around here. So you can just come on back next time you need a break.